Priti Patel is going to use a speech in Bournemouth later today to accuse the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak of overseeing the managed decline of the Tory party. And James Dyson, the entrepreneur, has used an interview in the Times to accuse him of scandalous neglect of the science and technology sectors. What's the sense that this is a sort of coordinated attack, sort of putting Sunak under pressure?
I'm not sure it is, because if you think about both of those individuals, they've both got kind of different axes to grind, as it were. I mean, Priti Patel, it's not a surprise that she's saying these things. She was a great ally of Boris Johnson when he was Prime Minister. She herself has lost her great office of state as he walked out of the door when he resigned as Prime Minister. There is a real sense and grievance still that Boris Johnson was an election winner. He's now been shown the door, and they've got evidence, the first evidence from the local election results last week, that actually that's having an impact. Now, I don't necessarily think that Boris Johnson alone as an individual is the result of, has particularly caused the local election collapse that we saw. I think there's many factors, some of which we've just talked about, the strikes, also the fact that, we've had a Conservative government now for 13 years. The economy is floundering. That's always a pretty good indication for voters that they will want change. So I think she's pretty much telling us what we would expect.
Well, she's speaking at this thing called the Conservative Democratic Organisation.
Yeah.
What is that, and how much of a headache is it for Sunak?
I don't think it's too much of a headache now, because I think there's been a kind of general acceptance that Boris Johnson is not going to return. This was the organisation that was set up basically after Boris Johnson got ousted to basically try and bring him back, to say that there was a democratic mandate for him to be Prime Minister, because he'd won the groundswell of support from the grassroots of the party, something that Rishi Sunak didn't do, obviously having effectively been crowned after the collapse of Liz Truss's administration. So we know that this is the kind of Boris Johnson fan club. On the flip side of that, I think what's more serious actually for Rishi Sunak is this attack that's come from Dyson. I mean, I think some of the points that he's making are things that have been echoed within the business community about Rishi Sunak's style. I went to a breakfast business meeting a couple of weeks ago and was quite surprised to see really big CEOs running organisations that had, hundreds of thousands of members and businesses saying that the engagement with the Conservative Party had been virtually nil, that the Prime Minister had not been inviting businesses into round table, and yet the Labour Party and Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor in particular, has been absolutely prolific on this front and has been inviting businesses in to see the Labour Party, and they've been formalising their own manifesto ideas around what businesses are telling them. So businesses are feeling quite, confident about their relationship with Labour, that they are listening to what they've got to say about some of the big challenges that are facing the economy. And yet I think some of those other entrepreneurs that are typically more aligned with the Conservative Party are feeling like they've been left out in the cold.